we've got to remind ourselves to do exactly that, don't we? You got to laugh a little. You got to have fun a little. Because there are so many aspects to life and to navigating life and the transitions in life. And today that's what I'm talking about. It's about laughter. Could we laugh a little bit more? Do you laugh every single day? Just a show of hands. You do? Could you do a little bit more? Sure we could. You know, the blessing of a child is that they laugh a lot. They have a lot of fun, and that inner child needs to come out. Anyone that knows me or has worked with me for any period of time knows there's going to be humor and play involved in anything that I do. For those of you that know me, do you think that's true? Sandra's like, yes. Yeah. So what I would like for us to do today, and I'm kind of connecting it into Reverend Sandra last week was talking about the noise and the stimulation that's always coming at us, and the spiritual tools that we can do, but also bringing Jesus' teachings into a lesson today in a way that when you leave here today, you'll take the 4 core teachings of Jesus with you, put them in your pocket, and you'll have them for your life experience. Because I know a lot of people will say, well, if I talked about the core teachings of Jesus, I would have to spend some time studying what those actually are. So I'm going to give them to you, and you're going to remember them, okay? You think you will? All right. We're going to make it sticky enough that you will. And it all begins in laughter. And I have a connection here for that. You're like, okay, Jesus laughed. Could you show me that in Scripture? Okay, I can't. There's not a place in there where it says, and Jesus laughed. But I have a lot of aspects that show you who he was and how he showed up and why laughter was such an important part of life. And that's the acronym I'll be using today. But before we do, how about if we try it out ourselves and simply laugh? And I'm not about to do a stand-up number right here for you, just not going to do it. You know, a few weeks ago I tried that and it just flopped. Do you remember that? I just tried and Reverend Barber looked at me and was like, I don't know what he's doing right now. Laugh is the acronym that I want you to hear today. L-A-F-F. And there's 2 things that we are about. We are about loving God and loving our neighbor. And I'll add to that to laugh more. And be about the business of love and happiness in the world. There is something called the happiness factor. And the happiness factor contributes to our well-being with gratitude, connection, and purpose. Laughter itself reduces our stress, lightens us up a little bit, causes us to have more appreciation, more joy in our life, and we live life just a little bit lighter. And while I said earlier, the Bible never directly says that Jesus laughed. You can't find it. But many scholars, theologians, seminarians, and our deep dive in our research know that he likely did. He attended celebrations, we know this. He shared meals. He used humor and irony and some of the metaphors that we use often. He surrounded himself often with children. Do you think there was a laughter going on in any of those events? He lived a fully human experience, so you know he did. Spiritual teachers point to the deep joy and compassion that happens when we have laughter in our lives, and it records Jesus as weeping. It records Jesus as praying, as teaching, as rejoicing. So it's reasonable to know that Jesus laughed, full-on laughed. And I would say that is so true because he walked among people. He experienced life every single day as we do. And as I said before, those that know me, I am part of play and humor and the silliness that goes along with life because we can take ourselves so seriously and life can get so heavy. So it's part of self-care practice to bring laughter in. But Jesus' core teachings to me are recipes for healthy living. And they're universal. You don't laugh because you're happy. You get happy because you laughed. And I like to believe that Jesus our master teacher, traveling with the guys, Sea of Galilee, camping out. Just visualize some of it. You think there were stories and laughter in there? Anyone seen that picture of the laughing Jesus? We have it hanging in the office. It is so good. It is so good to see him that way, because we sometimes take everything so heavy and so serious. So I created this acronym a number of years ago because it was important for students also to be able to take it away and to say, how can I apply these in my life? And so these are spiritual tools that we'll begin with, and the first one is L. What do you think L is? In a core teaching of Jesus, what would L be about? How easy was that, right? See? You got a quarter of the test already passed right there. Love. Love is who we are. Love is what we are called to be. And why? Because that is us. In John chapter 13, 34 through 35, and what's interesting, it's also found in Mark and Matthew and Luke. So we know when there's multiple attributions throughout the Bible, there is some truth going on to what actually occurred. And so there was a new commandment, the commandment that I give you, and that is to love one another as I have loved you. And by this I will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. Now, that sounds so sweet, but it's a big ask. Do you think it's a big ask? Oh no, it's easy to love one another, right? But what about all people at all times, even those challenging occurrences, those challenging people in government, in relationships, in family? Sometimes there's a bit of a sting there. There's our work. It's an opportunity to do maybe a personal assessment to see, when do I build up the walls? When do I have that block there? I love all people. Sounds good, but do you? That's really the work. I want to mention something about A Course in Miracles here, because I love what it says. That everything is either love or a call for love. So even in those challenging times, we can look and say, this is love, or if there's a challenge in front of me, this is a call for love. Or perhaps that person is calling for love and needs me to go a little closer, be a little more tender, a little more open. Now, I would say it doesn't mean you have to have coffee and tea on a regular basis with someone that challenges you. It doesn't mean you have to walk arm in arm down the street. But it means we can hold nothing within us, but we can hold love for all people at all times. The A. What do you think the A is for?
Abundance.
That's a good one, and it's not. It is a good one. A is for a big one. It's for ask. Ask. Do you know how hard that is for a lot of people, is to ask? Got to do it yourself. Got to figure it yourself. You don't want to show vulnerability to say, I need help with something. Sometimes even in prayer. Many of us forget that ask is not begging. Remember, you can ask a friend. You can ask someone to help out. You don't have to show your hands, but I know this personally. Sometimes you just want to figure it out and get it done yourself. You don't want to show that you can't do it, so you just do it. Sometimes you stumble and fall, but that's how we learn. We have silent unity. We have prayer chaplains. We have ministers. Ask. Perhaps it's even just a conversation to talk through something. Everything that we do in conversation is really prayer in action. Ask. Ask and it will be given. I think it's an important opportunity to do an internal assessment for us. Have I had difficulty asking for help, asking for support in my life? If the answer is yes, take a look. Find out, what's that about? Why is that such a challenge for me to ask? Asking is proven to be a blessing for both people. To be able to help, to ask, and the person that gets to support you. It's a beautiful blessing. It's an opportunity for us to take a deeper dive, to look at love to look at ask. And Matthew 7:7, scripture verse many of you know, is ask and it will be given, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be opened. Exactly. Now what's interesting about that is oftentimes on the surface, I'll hear students talk about this. Ask and it will be given. I need to ask more. Knock and you will find. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open for you. Now remember, when you ask, all sorts of things show up. Possibly more curriculum, more lessons to do. Seek and you will find. Sometimes when we seek, maybe that's looking for that perfect thing that we've been looking for. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's a job. But sometimes what we seek is more work within inside us to do. There's more to uncover, more work to do. Knock and the door will be open for you. And I have seen people, and I've done it, pound on that door for years. But there's other doors. Sometimes it's turn around and seeing the other opportunities that are around. It may not be the door you're knocking on. So take those and take a look at them and see how you can apply them to your life. Love, even in challenging times. Ask. Ask. The third one, the F, is for faith. Ding, ding, ding. Got it. Faith. Now, faith oftentimes is elusive. How do you touch faith? How do you know faith? It's the great unseen, the full knowing that sometimes it's elusive. It's this moment of pausing, really trying to understand, what is faith to me? So I'm going to ask you, if I said, what is faith? If you could give me one word and it's not love, don't insert love. Faith is one word. What word would that be? Just shout it out. Trust. Believe. What is that? God. Trust, believe, God. Another one? Faith is? What comes to mind? What's that? Action. Taking those steps. Faith comes up from a lot of us that's like, how do I actually define that? But I know how it feels. I know how it may work. What's interesting is we go back in time to the Revealing Word. Charles Fillmore wrote the Revealing Word. And he says, faith is the spiritual assurance of the power to do the seemingly impossible. Albert Einstein talked about imagination. After there were horses, came a thing called a car. Imagine the seemingly impossible, the thing you set out to do, but you don't see it. You don't know how to do it, but you have faith and trust and belief and God in there with you to see it fulfill itself. Faith. Charles Fillmore also, our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, also links faith and love together. We have 12 powers, and I hope over the next year we'll be able to go through more of the powers and have a theme. But faith and love are linked as partners. He wrote this. He said, thoughts of condemnation or blaming of others or situations and resistance must be released and divine love declared, then our faith will be unhindered. So sometimes you hear people, yourself, maybe me, going, I've held the faith, I've got the faith, I've got the faith. I would say go back and take a look at where's the stumbling block. Where have you still held some blame or some resistance against something? Because he says, and I believe that when we hold anything, we are in bondage to that in some way, and our faith is hindered from forward motion. So it's working out the thoughts in our mind and in our hearts so we can move forward into that next F. So we've got L is for, A is for, F is for. All right, so here's the big one. Take a breath with me. F, the second one, is for forgiveness. Heavy. Did that come up in A Course in Miracles today? Sandy's nodding it. Yeah. It happens, doesn't it? It does it. Oh, it's such a big one. Forgiveness is such a big one. Throughout the gospel, the message is carried again and again and again. Jesus' teachings on forgiveness. He led by example what we're called to do. His teachings on forgiveness were genuine. He forgave those who hurt him. Jesus' teachings played a major role throughout his entire theme of his entire life, and he was very clear. One thing we know for sure is that it is a major role in our life too. In Mark 11:25, and when you stand praying, if you hold anything against anyone, forgive them, so that you may be forgiven. That kind of connects back to the previous, doesn't it? If anything is blocking within us, we've got to let it go. It doesn't mean, as I said earlier, it's time to go have pizza together. It doesn't mean that person has to be in our inner circle. But if we're holding it, we are in bondage to that. I release and I let go. I release and I let go. Charles Fillmore, again, our co-founder in Dynamics for Living, spells it out quite nicely in 7 steps, 7 conditions for true prayer. Our prayer chaplains know this. I know Judy has mentioned it before in some of our spiritual care team meetings. Those 7 steps. The 7th step is powerful. The 7th step to effective prayer, he writes, the mind must let go of every unforgiving thought. So we're holding something in prayer. We're moving forward in our faith. We're trusting this is going to happen for us. We're praying. We're holding the space for it. We're seeing the affirmations there. But if there is something within us that's holding on to an unforgiving thought, we are now hindered by the prayer made manifest. Now that's the core teachings of unity. That comes right out. Some of it is right there connected to A Course in Miracles. It's Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. All of it is really connected. And it's Jesus' teachings. But here's what's interesting. It's not just Jesus' teachings. Master teachers across all traditions have talked about these core essentials. Love, ask, faith, forgiveness. And I know every 8.3 something billion of us, is that about what we are now? 8.3 billion-ish? Have a path. And no 2 paths are ever exactly alike. And it's not up to each one of us to decide someone else's path. Marianne Williamson wrote, God didn't put us here to monitor other people's process. You're laughing, Sandy, because you remember that one? Probably a return to love. Did not put us here to monitor other people's process. We're each on a curriculum, on a journey. I said to the students this last week, they're like, Revs, we're here. And I said, and this is the beginning. It's not a mountain. We have mountaintop experiences. Would you agree? Those moments when we're there, and then we go back to work. We go back to the work, every single one of us, all the time. So when you walk out of here, I hope in your pocket you can remember to laugh. And by remembering to laugh, you'll remember the acronym, which is love, ask, faith, forgiveness, and apply that into your life, into a situation that's coming up for you, something in a relationship, something you read or you see. Maybe it is the news. Maybe it's being inundated with too much stimulation on stuff. How am I responding in love? Do I need to ask? Do I need to be vulnerable enough to ask, to build strength, and just see what comes of it? Letting go of some of those guards. And let Christ's Spirit be the lead, the driver of the car. And while we all have an ego, allow the ego to rest gently in the passenger seat, or perhaps in the child safety seat. And say, right there, I'm not giving you the keys to the car. And pay attention where you are with that. We get the amazing opportunity to carry with us our wisdom, our skills, our talents, our experiences to all that we do. But never forget that inner child seeks to laugh, seeks to have laughter and joy. And I can stand here today as a licensed ordained minister in this church and say that Jesus, our master teacher, was probably hilarious. I just believe that through my studies and through what I know in my own heart. So let's take the core teachings together. L is for A, F, F, and add them to your toolbox on your journey. When the curriculum comes up, you've got a little more skills now. You can say, okay, let me look at this through one of these lenses. The teachings of our master teacher. And always know, every one of you are sacred. This journey that we're on together, this journey that we're on collectively, collective consciousness is raised when we sing the one heart, when we are singing in one voice. We are raising and elevating consciousness right now. And God said, we are all in a space of mattering in the world to matter, to take this walk together. Your voice is important. Your energy, your consciousness, the frequency in which we show up in the world is important. And for those of you joining us later online, this is for you as well. And all of you, if you'll put your hands over your heart. And some people don't hear this, and you know that when I close, I'm going to say it. Some people don't hear this on a regular basis and need to, unless you're looking in the mirror doing your affirmations. But know that you are loved. Love is who you are. And if you ever need to hear that, come tap me on the shoulder and say, tell me please, and I will be happy to. So thank you for being a community that's alive and willing to do the work. And Reverend Barbara will be back with us next Sunday. She's out of town this weekend, and we'll get to have some more fun together, which we look forward to. And thank you for being part of this community. We are blessed.